Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is HD StarCraft, and I'm actually here to talk a little bit about the latest patch in Heart of the Swarm. Some consider this to be one of the more interesting patches, definitely a strange one. Blizzard just released this yesterday, and a couple of very interesting changes that I thought I'd go ahead and talk about, and obviously show you guys in the unit map tester, just so you guys can see hands-on what things are looking like right now. And most of the changes actually occurring to Terran here, but one of the things that pops out the most right here is that now for the Terran, you no longer require a tech lab in order to train Reapers. Now the repercussions of that seem a little bit extreme, because if you no longer require a Reaper to make a tech lab, I'll just show you guys. I'm gonna lift off the barracks and just place it right here. In fact, let's just make a reactor, and let's say a Terran player decided, well, I'm just gonna go for an early proxy barracks or proxy reactor racks. They can start pumping out Reapers like crazy. Now, obviously not that fast, but the idea here now seems like, I know that Blizzard wants to make it so that Reapers aren't as strong in TVT, and they've definitely done some nerfs to the Reaper. I'll talk about that in a second, but making the Reaper available at the reactor now, or without a tech lab, I should say, means that a lot of Terran players now, I feel like, are gonna be really rushing the Reaper. You'd almost have to be dumb, I guess, not to make early game Reapers in any matchup, really, because it's a great harassing unit and can hop up the cliffs. It can get behind the enemy mineral lines. It's so much better than a Marine is at the early stages of the game. And obviously, I feel like now, why wouldn't you make, a bunch of early game Reapers right away with no tech lab requirement? That's really, really good. Now, there are some nerfs that were done as well, so I'll read out these nerfs to you guys. The Reaper now, the battlefield awareness passive ability has been removed from the game, so it no longer has the ability to actually see up a cliff anymore. You do need something to detect up there, so at least they did take that out. They also nerfed the damage as a result as well, so now it doesn't do as much damage versus light units anymore. The actual number here is the P45 Gauss pistol weapon damage has been decreased from 4+5 versus light to just a base 4. So no longer absolutely, Reapers against SCVs, drones, and probes, but it's still a very good unit. They did increase the speed a little bit from 3.75 to or from 3.38 to 3.75, I should say, but the Nitro Packs upgrade has been removed from the game. So basically, the Reaper comes out, it has Nitro Packs right away. It's super fast. It doesn't do as much damage as before, but it's easily accessible out of the reactor core, and even without the reactor, you can make one, obviously. And I really do feel like it's going to become a staple here in early game Terran play, even in Terran versus Terran. I think the reason why they reduced its damage is because it was just so good in TVT and Heart of the Swarm, almost actually ending Terran games if a Terran player couldn't hold off Reaper play. But now I almost feel like they're even better. I don't know, we'll have to see how players pick up the new Reaper and how they actually utilize them, but this is a very interesting change. And I honestly feel like if you guys are going to be playing on Battle.net, just make a reactor proxy barracks or two, and then just pump out a bunch of Reapers. Should be pretty hard to hold off. Now, next big change here for Terran is that the Hellbats actually have a bit of a change here. Attack speed changed from 1.9 to 2, so they're a little bit slower. The Infernal Pre-Igniter, which is the Blue Flame upgrade, no longer affects Hellbats. So if I research that and I pump out a couple of Hellbats, they no longer get the Blue Flame upgrade. As you guys can see, it's not yellowed out, yellowed in the tooltip tab. But the thing is, they did actually increase their damage by a significant amount. They used to do 10+9 versus light. Well, now they do 18 versus all units, and they do 30 versus light, so it's like ridiculous. But they did reduce its range by quite a bit, the radius, or they should actually call it an arc, because it's not a radius, it's an arc. But they did reduce the arc of the cone of the Hellbats attack. So I'll just show you guys what I mean here if I make a bunch of Hellbats. And this will be, I guess this will be a little bit, a pretty long video, but it's gonna really, I feel like, go into depth about the changes here, because I really feel like this is an interesting patch, and I can't wait to cast some games on it as soon as I can. But let's just show you guys what I mean. If we make a bunch of Marines here, actually Zerglings would probably be a better example. Let's just make a bunch of Zerglings and run them over to the Hellbats. And obviously the Hellbats now, with 30 damage versus light, it almost one-shots a Zergling by itself. But I want to show you guys the cone now, which should be reduced. And you guys can see there, yeah, it's not as big as it was before. but they do a lot more damage. And David Kim actually himself said that he felt like the Hellbat wasn't being incorporated into armies very well. The original intention was for the Hellbat to be a meat shield for the Terran army, but it wasn't really serving that purpose so well. So what they've gone and done here is, I guess, make it better against all types of units, not just against light units. Which is, I guess, interesting. I feel like if you want to make it a better meat shield, maybe give it more health. But that's the case. That's where we stand right now with the Hellbat. So it's interesting. We'll see how that works out. The Medivac, the Caduceus reactor, no longer improves the healing rate of Medivacs, and the upgrade cost has been decreased from 150, 150, and 110 seconds to just 100, 100, and 80 seconds. Also, the emergency thrusters ability was renamed to Ignite Afterburners. So let's go ahead and make a couple of Medivacs here. Now, if they change the Caduceus reactor upgrade, that's interesting. So now it's just reverted back to the way it was before, which is increases the starting energy of Medivacs by 25. I don't know about that, because I feel like this is just right back to where we were in Wings of Liberty. It's basically a useless upgrade. The only time any player ever researched Caduceus Reactor at the high level was to fake someone out into thinking that they were getting cloaked for Banshees. So I'm a little intrigued by that. This is definitely, like I said before, guys, strangest patch yet from Blizzard. I definitely have faith, but I'm curious, and I want to bring you guys what I feel like are my thoughts on this patch and how it's going to affect the gameplay in Heart of the Storm. So there it is, and the Medivacs obviously now Ignite Afterburners. Same thing, different name, so I'll have to remember that when I actually cast. Let's go ahead and go into the next changes here. Now this is a massive change for the Raven. The Secret Missile energy cost has been decreased from 125 to 75. That is a huge change. The Ravens now, if I'm correct here, they come out with 50 energy, so they don't come out with enough energy right away to use a Secret Missile attack, but if you get the Corvid reactor and then you make a Raven, guess what? Now you can launch a Secret Missile right away. That's absolutely huge. For a Secret Missile to only be 75 energy. Now, of course, they did nerf it a little bit, or I don't even know if it's really a nerf. What they've done here is the primary target damage has been reverted from 300 back down to 100, so that is a nerf. But the Secret Missile once again deals splash damage, so now it's almost like I feel like it's way buffed, honestly, because it does splash damage, which I always felt like that was better for the Secret Missile. The Raven, the Secret Missile just doing a bunch of damage to one unit doesn't really work in StarCraft 2. Units love to clump up. You want that splash damage. Terran players need that splash damage, and to compensate, they have made it wait 5 seconds before it activates rather than 3. So it still uses that same mechanic of waiting a pretty long time, so it's easily dodgeable now because it takes 5 seconds, but nevertheless, it does a ton of damage, and it costs almost nothing at all in terms of energy. So let me go ahead and show you guys what I mean here. We've got, oh god, get away, get away, get away, get away, get away. My micro not so great today, but anyways, as you guys can see, let's launch a couple of Secret Missiles here. So it takes about 5 seconds, pretty long time, so you can dodge, but once it lands, oh, it's pretty brutal. So one Marine getting out of there in time. So let's see if I can go ahead and dodge this in 5 seconds time. Yeah, no, actually I cannot. So the radius is pretty long, but as you guys can see, I feel like now the Raven is going to be incorporated almost all the time. If a Secret Missile can come out right away with just a Corvid reactor upgrade, yeah, it's more easily dodgeable, but if you don't dodge it, it's going to do a ton of damage, and it's splash. So I think that's a big change right there for the Ravens. I think it's a big buff. And then finally, this is probably the wonkiest change of all. Siege tanks no longer require siege mode. You don't have a siege mode upgrade on the tech lab at the factory anymore. So this almost changes like the entire lore of StarCraft, because I think there was a mission in StarCraft Brood Wars campaign, or StarCraft the original campaign, where you had to figure out how to get siege mode for your tanks, but now apparently you just get siege mode right away. Now, I feel like the reason why, now David Kim said this himself, the reason why they changed this was to make mech more easily accessible versus Protoss. Remember, originally Terrans used to have the Warhounds, but they removed them from the game. So mech has kind of been suffering a little bit. So now they've gone ahead and just allowed tanks to have siege mode right away. I feel like there are going to be some repercussions with this, because now Terrans can hit that tank timing, you know, some type of 1-1-1 timing much faster than they ever could before. They can obviously turtle up much more easily as well, but most of all, I feel like this definitely makes timing attacks a lot more difficult to deal with against a Terran player. So this is very interesting. I don't know how I feel about this change as of right now. If you wanted to make mech more powerful or more effective, maybe just increase its damage or increase the tank's HP or something, but to make siege mode available, I think it might mess with the timings a little bit in the game that we're also used to right now. So that's very, very big. And obviously, you know, now I almost feel like if you have, I don't know, man, if you have a early Reapers where you can make out of a barracks without a tech lab, and you've got tanks that don't require siege mode anymore, the Terran race has been accelerated by quite a bit. We'll see. I'm sure Terran players are going to be quite a bit in love with that, but we'll see how this all plays out. And of course, the new Hellbats and the Medivacs as well. The Medivacs no longer healing as quickly as they used to. Anyways, let's go ahead and go down to Protoss. They actually have a couple of changes themselves. The Vortex ability has been removed from the game, so you can no longer Vortex a unit. And obviously the problem with Vortex in Wings of Liberty was it became such a de facto, such a standard in that matchup for Protoss versus Zerg. It almost made ZVP into like a coin flip scenario. Either you get the Vortex and you get all your Archons in and you win the game, or you don't and you lose the game. So I think Blizzard, I think they're heading in the right direction by removing Vortex from the game. It was such a powerful ability that I definitely feel like you can tweak Protoss in ways to make the game a little bit more interesting than just having one big Vortex, although it was really cool to watch. So the Vortex has been removed from the game. And the Mothership Core now actually has the Envision ability. So, excuse me, the Mothership Core has lost its Envision ability, and it's been granted to the Oracle. I really like this change, and I know Protoss players are probably going to hate me for this, but the problem with giving the Envision to the Mothership Core was that you basically had mobile detection as soon as you got one on the field. You could never be caught with your pants down if you were Protoss, but now they've given it back to the Oracle, and well, the Oracle used to have, I guess, Revelation, but so now the Oracle's got Revelation and Envision, which is kind of interesting. I'm sure this is going to change at some point. The one unit cannot have both these abilities. It's just really redundant. One obviously grants vision around a structure, and the other one just allows the Oracle to become a detector. So obviously I think Revelation is going to be removed here, but the Oracle now does have the Envision ability, does have the ability to detect, making it a viable detection option if you go Stargate, not forcing you to go obviously robotics, but at the same time not allowing Protoss to just detect right away from a Nexus. So that's a big change right there. And then finally, the Time Warp ability has been moved from the Mothership Core to the Mothership. Excuse me, from the Mothership Core to the Mothership. Yes. So actually, back then, obviously the Oracle had Time Warp, but they've taken it out from the Oracle now, and I think that's a pretty good change. I never really was able to cast any games where we saw massive Time Warps coming down and completely screwing over an enemy player. But apparently Blizzard said that it was happening a lot, and so they've taken Time Warp away from the Oracle, and they've granted it now to the Mothership Core as well as the Mothership, which means now you can still Time Warp, you still have it as an effective means of disrupting an enemy player, but you don't have infinite Time Warps anymore. If you know, you only get a limited amount because you only have one Mothership / Mothership Core. So let's go ahead and say, you know, this guy is going to come in with his entire army, and you do have the Time Warp ability obviously available. You can drop that down, and still very, very effective. But I do feel like now this forces Protoss players to juggle a little bit. Do I use a Time Warp, or do I save up for Mass Recall? And a lot of times you're not going to have energy for both abilities, so it really might become a balancing act here for Protoss players when it comes to using that ability. So there's that. And finally, a couple of changes here for Zerg. Fungal growth damage has been decreased from 30 plus 10 versus armored to just 30, which means now the Infestors once again have been nerfed again. And you know what? I gotta be fair and say, you know, that's if Blizzard feels like that's best, and that is best. Obviously, I am a Zerg player, so sometimes I can be a little biased, but I feel like Infestors have been nerfed quite a bit repeatedly in 3 patches in a row now. But we'll see how that goes. So the fungal growth has been nerfed once again. It's still a great ability, obviously. And last change, Mutalisk regeneration passive ability renamed to Tissue Regeneration. and its tooltip has been updated for clarity purposes. So we'll go ahead and take a look at a Mutalis real quick and see what it says. Just regenerates life faster than most Zerg units. So that's that. And I thought I'd go ahead and just make this video to show you guys once again the changes and how they work in person. Obviously, most of the changes are number-wise, and a lot of the changes are mostly affecting Terran. Once again, biggest changes: Siege mode available right away, Reapers available right away without a tech lab. I really feel like that's going to make this game I feel like super unstable in the beginning, because what Terran player wouldn't want to proxy a bunch of Reapers? So that's that. And of course, Seeker Missiles now free to launch out Seekers as soon as they get Corvid Reactor. And that'll be that, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed. Oh, that's nice that the Seeker Missile does splash to air and ground once again, of course. And that's that. I hope you guys enjoyed, and this is HD. I'm signing out.